Arsenal versus PSG, the Champions League final. We have all been waiting for. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stayed up late, heart pounding, hands shaking, watching Arsenal play in a game that truly mattered on the biggest stage in European football? If you are an Arsenal fan, you already know that feeling has been a long time coming. And now, on May 30th in Budapest, it is finally here. Arsenal versus Paris Saint-Germain. The Champions League final. Say that out loud. Really say it. Arsenal in a Champions League final. Against one of the richest, most powerful clubs in the world. Against a team packed with world-class players and managed by one of the best coaches in the game today. This is the kind of game that makes football the most beautiful sport on earth. But here is the thing. Not everyone thinks Arsenal can win. The big clubs, the pundits, the football world at large, still sees PSG as the team to beat. And maybe they are right. PSG are the defending champions.
They got to the final last season and won it. They know how to handle pressure. They know what it takes to win the biggest prize in European football. But Arsenal has been on a journey this season that nobody can ignore. Mikel Arteta has built something real at the Emirates, something strong, something that has earned the right to be on that stage in Budapest at the end of this month. And now, as the whole world watches, every single person connected to this club, every fan, every player, every staff member gets a chance to be part of history. So let us sit down, take a deep breath and talk about everything that is going on ahead of this massive final. Let us talk about what PSG President Nasser Al-Khelaifi said about Arsenal. Let us talk about what manager Luis Enrique thinks about Mikel Arteta and his team. Let us hear from PSG captain Marquinhos, who had something very interesting to say about who the favourites really are. And along the way, let us ask ourselves the big questions that every Arsenal fan is thinking about right now, because this is not just a football match, this is a moment. And it belongs to all of us. Nasser Al-Khelaifi is desperate to win, and he is not hiding it. Let us start at the top. The man who runs PSG, the man who has spent enormous amounts of money building one of the most powerful clubs in Europe. Nasser Al-Khelaifi sat down with CBS Sports recently and spoke openly about the final, about Arsenal, and about Thierry Henry. Now, if you do not know, Thierry Henry is one of the greatest players to ever wear an Arsenal shirt. He is a legend at the club, a proper icon. The kind of player you show your kids and say that is how it is done. He is also now working as a pundit and is closely linked with Arsenal as a supporter and ambassador of the club. So when Al-Khelaifi was asked about Henry ahead of the final, his answer was warm and honest. He said Henry is one of the best in football history and that he was a big fan watching him play at Arsenal. He even said he always keeps in touch with him. That is a lovely thing to say. And it shows you the kind of respect that exists between top people in the game. But then Micah Richards, who was interviewing him, asked the question we all wanted answered. He asked with a smile whether Al-Khelaifi still wanted to beat Henry in the final, even with all that respect. The PSG president did not even pause. He just said, yeah, exactly. And honestly, you have got to respect that. That is the mentality of a man who wants to win. He likes Henry, he respects Arsenal, but when it comes to May 30th, all of that goes out of the window. He wants PSG to win, he wants his team to make history, and he wants to be the man standing at the top of European football for the second year in a row. So what does that tell us? It tells us that PSG are not coming to Budapest for a nice day out, so they are coming to win. They are coming with everything they have got, and Arsenal need to be ready for that. Here is a question worth thinking about. As an Arsenal fan, does it make you nervous knowing that the president of PSG is this motivated and this confident, or does it fire you up even more? Al-Khelaifi says Luis Enrique is the best coach in the world. Is he right? Here is where things get really interesting. Al-Khelaifi did not just talk about Henry and Arsenal. He also spoke at length about his manager, Luis Enrique, and the words he used were not small. He called Luis Enrique the best coach in the world. Those are big words, huge words. And when the president of your club says something like that publicly, it tells you something about the confidence that exists inside PSG right now. Al-Khelaifi said he has been trying to sign Luis Enrique for 15 years and that bringing him to the club was the best decision he ever made. He said the manager is fantastic, not just on the training pitch, but as a person. He talked about the way Enrique handles the players day by day, the way he builds relationships, the way he gets the most out of everyone around him. That is not just praise. That is a declaration. It is Al-Khelaifi standing up and saying, our manager is the best and we are ready for anything. Now, Mikel Arteta is no pushover. Arsenal fans already know that. The transformation he has made at the club since he came in has been remarkable. He has turned Arsenal from a team that could not get into the top four into a team that is now in a Champions League final. That is not a small thing, that is a massive thing. But here is the honest truth. Luis Enrique has been doing something special with PSG. He has taken a team that was known more for its individual stars and turned them into a real unit. They press, they work hard, they have a clear identity, and they have already proven they can win the Champions League under his leadership. So when Al Khalifi says Enrique is the best in the world, you can argue with him, but you cannot dismiss it completely. What do you think? Is Mikel Arteta good enough to be the best coach in the world on the biggest night of his career so far? Or is this exactly the kind of challenge that proves just how far he has come? Luis Enrique calls Arsenal unbelievable, but he still wants to win. Now let us hear from the man himself. Luis Enrique spoke ahead of the final, and what he said about Arsenal was honestly quite surprising. Not because it was negative, in fact, it was the opposite. He called Arsenal unbelievable. He said that Mikel Arteta and his team have performed at a high level throughout the whole season and that they deserve to be in the final. Think about what that means coming from the opposition manager. The man who wants to beat you is sitting there and saying your team has been brilliant all year. That is not something managers say lightly. That is genuine respect. Enrique also had specific praise for Arteta himself. He said his fellow Spaniard has done a great job and fully deserves to manage in a Champions League final. That is a really classy thing to say. Two Spanish managers, both with strong philosophies, both with clear visions for how football should be played, going head to head in the biggest game in club football. That storyline alone would make this final worth watching, even if you were not an Arsenal or PSG fan. But then Enrique shifted slightly and reminded everyone what is at stake for PSG. He talked about making history. He talked about how PSG want to win back-to-back Champions League titles and that this final is a chance to do something truly historic for the club. He made the point that it will be Arsenal's first final, and while that is exciting for the Gunners, PSG have a chance to do something that very few clubs have ever done, win it twice in a row. So yes, he respects Arsenal. Yes, he thinks Arteta is a great manager, but Luis Enrique is also coming to Budapest to win. He is clear about that and he is confident about that. Here is something to think about. Arsenal are coming into this game as the team with less experience at this level. PSG have been here, done this and lifted the trophy. Does that experience advantage make a real difference in a one-off game? Or can Arsenal's hunger and freshness be their biggest weapon? Marquinhos says PSG are not the favourites. Should we believe him? This is the part that really caught my attention. Of all the quotes flying around ahead of this final, the words of PSG captain Marquinhos might be the most interesting and possibly the most honest. When asked whether PSG are favourites going into the final, Marquinhos said clearly that PSG cannot fall into that trap. And he went even further. He talked about how tough Arsenal were when the two sides faced each other in the Champions League last season. He said Arsenal were one of the hardest teams PSG faced. He said Arsenal know exactly how to play against PSG and against that style of football. That is a PSG captain on record saying Arsenal are a serious threat. Not just saying it to be polite, but saying it in a way that sounds like he has genuinely studied Arsenal, felt what it is like to play against them, and knows they are not going to be an easy game. He also made a really smart point about the nature of a final. He said a final is 50-50, anything can happen in a single match. And he even mentioned that the stadium will be split equally between supporters of both clubs, which means the atmosphere will be huge and neither side will feel like they are playing away from home. Now, some people will read Marquinhos' comments and think he is just being careful, just doing the classic footballer thing of not talking up how good you are so you do not put pressure on yourself. And maybe that is part of it, but I think there is more to it than that. Marquinhos is an experienced player. He has won things. He has been at PSG for years and has seen everything. When a player like that says a team is one of the toughest opponents you can face, you pay attention, and it should give every single Arsenal fan a huge amount of confidence. This Arsenal team has earned that respect. They have not just stumbled into a Champions League final. They have worked for it, fought for it, and beaten good teams to get there. And now even the opponent's captain is standing up and saying, do not sleep on Arsenal. What makes this Arsenal team so special this season? Let us step back from the quotes and the press conferences for a moment and just talk about what Arteta has built at Arsenal this season. Because it is real. This is not a fluke. This is not one good result carrying a mediocre team to a final they do not deserve to be in. Arsenal have been consistently good, consistently hard to beat, consistently dangerous going forward. The team has a clear identity. They press high. They work for each other. They have a goalkeeper who commands his area and inspires confidence. They have a defence that has been solid under pressure. They have a midfield that can control games and break up opposition play. And they have attackers who can hurt any team in the world on their day. Think about the players Arsenal have. Bukayo Saka, who has been brilliant all season. A player who can decide a game on his own, who has the pace and skill to be a nightmare for any defender. Think about the midfield options Arteta has at his disposal. Think about the way the whole team defends together, making it so hard for opposition players to find space. And then think about the journey to get to this final. beating quality teams in the knockout rounds, handling the pressure of big European nights at the Emirates, responding when things have not gone perfectly. That is what champions do. That is what winning teams do. Arsenal are not here by accident. They are here because they deserve to be. The historical weight of this moment, can we just take a moment to appreciate what this actually means in the context of Arsenal's history? Arsenal have not won a league title since 2004. They have not been in a Champions League final since 1994 when they were beaten by Benfica in the old Cup Winners' Cup. Actually, if we are being precise about the Champions League specifically, the last time Arsenal were in the European Cup final was way back in 2006 when they were beaten by Barcelona in Paris. That was a different generation of players, a different era of the club. There are Arsenal fans reading this right now who were young children back then or who were not even born yet. And there are fans who have been waiting longer than that, fans who remember the glory days of the late 1990s and early 2000s, who have been waiting for moments like this for decades. May 30th is not just a football match. For so many Arsenal fans, it represents something much deeper than that. It is proof that the club they love, the club they have stuck with through all the difficult years, is back at the top, back where it belongs. And whatever happens in Budapest, nobody can take that away from Arsenal. They have already done something that millions of fans dreamed about. They have made a Champions League final. Now they have the chance to win it. What Arsenal need to do to beat PSG? Okay, let us get into the football side of things. Because as beautiful as this moment is, there is still a game to win. PSG have quality all over the pitch. Their attack is one of the most dangerous in Europe. They can hurt you in so many different ways, and they have players capable of deciding a match with one moment of brilliance. Luis Enrique has also built a team that is hard to break down and very well organised. So what does Arsenal need to do? First, they need to be brave. Not reckless, but brave. There is a temptation in a big final to sit back, be conservative, and try not to lose. That is the wrong approach. Arsenal are at their best when they are playing on the front foot, pressing hard and taking the game to the opposition. Arteta needs to trust the system that got them to this point. Second, they need to be clinical. In knockout football, chances are precious. You cannot afford to miss the opportunities that come your way. PSG will have moments too, and if Arsenal are going to win, they need to take their chances when they come. Third, they need the big players to step up. Saka, obviously, he has been Arsenal's most important player all season and he will be crucial again on May 30th. But also the players in the middle, the players at the back, everyone doing their job and doing it well. Fourth, they need to manage the emotion of the game. This is a final. The nerves will be incredible. The atmosphere will be extraordinary. Arsenal need to channel all of that energy in the right direction and not let it become a distraction. And fifth, they need to believe, real belief, not just saying the right things in press conferences, but genuine deep down confidence that they can beat PSG, because they can. The talent is there, the tactics are there, the manager is there. Now it is about whether the team believes it on the night. Do you think Arsenal have what it takes mentally to handle a Champions League final? Is this the moment Arteta's side finally crosses the line? The role of the Arsenal fans, let us talk about you. Yes, you, the fans. Marquinhos mentioned that the stadium will be split 50-50, and that is huge. The Puskas Arena in Budapest is going to be one of the loudest, most electric football atmospheres you will ever experience. And half of that noise is going to be coming from Arsenal supporters who have travelled from all over the world to be there. For those who cannot make it to Budapest, and that is most of us, there will be pubs, homes, living rooms, and watching parties all over the place. People gathering together because they love this club and they want to share this moment with people who feel the same way. That kind of support matters, not just emotionally, but practically. Arsenal players have talked many times this season about how much the fans lift them, about how the energy at the Emirates on big European nights has given them something extra. That energy will travel to Budapest. It always does with this club. So wear your shirt, make the noise, believe, because part of what makes football so special is the connection between the players on the pitch and the people watching. And on May 30th, that connection is going to matter more than ever. The PSG attack, the biggest threat to Arsenal's dream. We have to be honest here and talk about the danger that PSG represent. It would be wrong to spend this whole piece talking about how Arsenal can win without acknowledging what they are up against. PSG's attack is genuinely frightening. They have players who can beat you on the outside, cut inside, play 1-2s in tight spaces and score goals from distance. They have someone who has been in outstanding form in the Champions League this season and who scored against Arsenal in the previous campaign. That is a player who knows how to perform on the big stage and who has already shown he can hurt this Arsenal team. Marquinhos himself said that Arsenal know how to play against PSG's style, which suggests there is some awareness that the match will not be straightforward. PSG will not just be able to turn up and expect to win, they will have to work for it, but Arsenal's defence needs to be switched on from the first whistle. One mistake against a team this good can cost you everything in a final. The backline will need to be disciplined, organised and ready to deal with pace, movement and creativity from the PSG forwards. It is going to be a chess match. Arteta versus Enrique. Two brilliant tactical minds trying to outsmart each other while their players try to execute the plan under enormous pressure. That is the beauty of it, and that is why we watch. Could this be the start of something even bigger for Arsenal? Here is a thought that excites me more than almost anything else about this final. Regardless of the result, this moment could be the beginning of a new era for Arsenal. Think about it. The squad Arteta has built is still young. Saka is still young. Many of the key players are at the start of what could be long, brilliant careers at the Emirates. The infrastructure at the club is strong. The ownership, for all its ups and downs, has shown a willingness to invest in what Arteta is building. If Arsenal win on May 30th, it does not just put them in the history books, it announces to the world that they are back as a genuine force in European football. It gives them a platform to build from. It changes the conversation around what Arsenal are capable of. And even if, in a painful scenario, Arsenal do not win, the experience of reaching a final, of going to Budapest and competing against the best team in Europe will make them better. It will teach the young players what it takes. It will drive them even harder next season and the one after that. This is the beginning, not the end. That should excite every Arsenal supporter. What does Thierry Henry think? There is one more person we need to mention before we wrap this up, and that is Thierry Henry. When Al-Khelaïfi was speaking about Henry, he was clearly talking about someone he genuinely admires. But Henry is also on the Arsenal side of this conversation. He loves this club. He lived some of the greatest moments of his career in red and white. He knows what it would mean for Arsenal to win the Champions League. Henry knows better than almost anyone what it takes to win at the highest level. He knows how tough PSG will be. He has watched Luis Enrique build something special in Paris, and he knows that Arsenal will need to be at their absolute best to come through, but he also knows the quality in Arteta's squad. He has seen them develop over the past few seasons. He has watched from close up as this team has grown and improved and pushed harder than anyone expected. And deep down, you can be sure that Thierry Henry, one of the all-time great Arsenal players, will be watching May 30th with everything he has got riding on it. Final thoughts. This is Arsenal's moment. We started this piece with a question. When was the last time you felt this alive as an Arsenal fan? And now, as we reach the end, the answer has never been clearer. This is it. This is the moment that generations of Arsenal fans have been waiting for. A Champions League final, the biggest stage in European football against one of the greatest clubs in the world in Budapest on May 30th. Nasser Al-Khelaifi is desperate to win. Luis Enrique calls Arsenal unbelievable and knows this will be a tough game. Marquinhos, the PSG captain, refuses to call his own team favourites because he knows how dangerous Arsenal are. And Mikel Arteta has built a team that has earned the respect of everyone at the top of the game. This is not a moment for fear. This is a moment for belief, for pride, for everything this club stands for. Can Arsenal beat PSG? Yes, they can. Does it going to be easy? No, it is not. Will every single second of that game matter? Absolutely. So let us be ready, let us be loud, let us believe, because on May 30th, Arsenal have a chance to do something incredible, something that will be talked about for decades, something that will make every person who ever watched this club, who ever sang the songs, who ever believed when it was hard to believe, feel like it was all worth it. Come on, Arsenal. Budapest is waiting. What do you think, Olivia Sports Arsenal community? Can Arteta's side do it? Drop your thoughts below and let us know who you think will win the Champions League final. And most importantly, share this with every Arsenal fan you know, because moments like this are what we live for.